Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. After 5 years in this place, I finally managed to secure my first adjournment debate, and I'm really pleased that it's a debate on security in Kosovo as co-chair of the all-party parliamentary group on Kosovo. Last July, I went to Kosovo with the Interparliamentary Union alongside a member for Cleethorpes, who's in his place, Cardiff South Banat, Plymouth, Sutton and Devonport, who's in his place, and West Worcestershire. We visited Kosovo and we had high-level discussion with the Prime Minister, the President's Office and KFOR on the security situation, which has since worsened, and why we need this debate tonight. I share the Republic of Kosovo's concern that Serbia are attempting to incite violence in Kosovo, a serious threat to peace and stability in the region and beyond. These attempts take place after Serbia has already stabilised great tensions in Bosnia and Herzegovina through the Republika Srpska entity and in Montenegro. Because there has never been insufficient repercussions from the international community, Serbia has been increasingly threatening engaging in staged acts of violence to also destabilise Kosovo. So much so their progressively more destructive approach become normalised by the formulating language of both sides, which must be decisively rejected. Serbs in Kosovo are treated with respect, and we need to ensure that relations between the two communities, Kosovan Serbs and Kosovan Albanians and other minorities, are harmonious and normalised if we are to get a secure and stable Kosovo and a solution to what is increasingly becoming a crisis. However, in the best case scenario, Serbia is intentionally trying to stabilise Kosovo to prevent progress of the dialogue, especially in the context of the newly proposed EU plan supported by France and Germany for the normalisation of relations. In the worst case scenario, the deliberate escalation reminiscent of Serbia's modus operandi of starting wars in the 1990s. It's indeed a bad omen and a materialisation of what the current regime in Belgrade, many of whom served under Milosevic, have been trumpeting for years now. From my perspective, Kosovo is willing to compromise, including on IDs, vehicle registration plates and the postponement of elections, and left without any bargaining chips or means to block progress and dialogue. Serbia has decided to artificially create a crisis in Kosovo. On December the 9th last year, Serbian Prime Minister Brnabic announced that they will request the return of their military and police to Kosovo, which was rejected by KFOR. In parallel, violence is instigated in the northern enclaves. In less than 24 hours, citizens start being terrorised by random detonations of stun grenades, journalists are being attacked, and Kosovan police are being shot at multiple times, with the police officer ending up hospitalised. This comes after weeks of intimidation of citizens in the north, of burning cars, those who had converted their car plates to official Kosovan registration plates. On December the 10th, Serbia instructs criminal groups in the North Kosovo to set barricades, a now commonplace measure whenever Belgrade wants to increase tensions in Kosovo. What is different this time is that Serbian President Vučić is no longer feigning ignorance as to who is behind them. He not only openly admits to being in control of the barricades, but is now legitimising and leveraging them as a political tool for destabilisation. On the same day, after attacks on citizens, police officers and journalists in EU rule of law mission, reconnaissance patrol is attacked by a stun grenade. The following day, on December the 11th, an official request submitted for the redeployment of Serbian troops to Kosovo, eerily reminiscent of Russia's tactics of invading a sovereign state in the pretence of protecting their endangered community. The Republic of Kosovo authorities have purposefully not moved to dismantle the barricades in order not to raise tensions and asked support from KFOR mission. I could go through each day in turn over the last 2 months, and you can see me turning the page as I look at the number of infractions and escalations the Serbian government undertook, but I don't think we've got time for that, so I will skip ahead, although I might come back if there is time to perform or two more reflections on this. But I just want to take this time now to pause and actually reflect on the Yorkshire contribution to Kosovan security. ASD Lighting, based in Rotherham, South Yorkshire, working with the Kosovan government to provide assistance with state-of-the-art technology that provide much-needed additional security measures to the disputed border areas with neighbouring Serbia, and are looking to help improve countrywide infrastructure with energy-saving and security solutions. A delegation from various Kosovan government departments has visited ASD Lighting last December to assess the capabilities and solutions that can be offered by ASD. This has been followed by a visit by ASD's personnel to Pristina and also some of the disputed border regions in order to provide advice and guidance on technology and solutions required to provide increased security measures. I ask that the UK Government and the new BAT Department support this and assist ASD. I want to thank my constituent, Brian Dean, who's been working with ASD, has been a significant contributor to cultural life in Kosovo for many years, and is a brilliant ambassador for Yorkshire and Kosovo in Yorkshire, alongside former Keighley member John Grogan. To give way.
Can I commend the Honourable Gentleman for Leeds North West on bringing this forward? The Honourable Member may be aware that a security training firm in Northern Ireland, composing of former RUC and PSNI officers, also had a contract to train police officers in Kosovo, which is funded by European money. It is clear the job has not yet been completed, and that further training of the first line of defence in Kosovo, the policing sector, must take place to make improvements throughout the region, and the Government should offer any help that we can to make these improvements. Would the Honourable Gentleman, on behalf of his constituency firm and on behalf of mine, make those representations?
I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for Strangford. It isn't a German debate without an intervention from him. But I think it actually reflects what we see in Kosovo when we went last July, and generally the hugely high regard that the Kosovans have for the United Kingdom and the role we played in the late 90s and early noughties and since in the security and stabilisation of Kosovo as a nation. And I think we continue to do that, and I think that there's so many opportunities for us to work jointly with Kosovo, actually more than many other places I've ever been to. They look to us first and others afterwards. I'll give way on that.
I thank him very much. Is he aware that at the last Council of Europe meeting, I initiated a debate on Serbia and Kosovo to make sure that Kosovo was admitted as a full member, it is already a partial member, of the Council of Europe now. And we have promised the Kosovans all our help in completing the documentation that is required to make that happen. Is he aware of this?
I am aware, and I want to thank the Honourable Member, and actually the Honourable Member for Rochdale as well, who's also on the Council of Europe delegation, was a former Minister of Europe when we had the initial crisis and genocide in Kosovo, in fact, and the work they've done to support Kosovo's entry in the Council of Europe. I think it's hugely important that Kosovo enters multilateral, multinational organisations. It is part of their ambition. They see Council of Europe not as an end in itself, but as a stepping stone to greater things, so they can fully enter the community of nations.
Give way.
Give way.
I'm grateful for my friend giving way, and it was a good trip to Kosovo that he and I and others attended last year. Does he agree with me that the 25th anniversary of the 1999 support that the UK and our allies provided to Kosovo is an opportunity for the UK government and our allies to make the case for Kosovo's full participation in multilateral arrangements, including starting with a full membership of the Council of Europe?
Yeah. I mean, my honourable friend is absolutely right, and I think it's also worth maybe reflecting a moment that the contribution of that UK government to Kosovo, particularly actually Honourable Member for Rochdale couldn't be here tonight, Robin Cook, who's sat along with us, and Tony Blair, who is in a very high, considered very high regard in Kosovo. And I think that it is just, you know, the 25th anniversary is a point where other countries can reflect on the progress that Kosovo has made and fully ensure they are entering into all those multilateral organisations and fully bring them in to our community as a fully fledged nation. So, just returning to Serbia for a moment again. Serbia has still not condemned the Russian aggression in Ukraine, which is, you know, today we had President Zelensky here, and we have a nation in Europe that's not even able to condemn what is happening to his nation. And it's still acting aggressively to its neighbours, not just Kosovo. It risks not only the peace and stability of the region, but far beyond as well. The Russian MFA is already closely following the situation, is not hesitating to openly voice their support for Serbia in case of an armed conflict, after heavily militarising them for years now. Considering how emboldened the Serbian authorities have become, it's concerning that further coddling of Serbia for the sake of stability can seriously backfire and lead to tensions spiralling out of control. The UK government and the international community should condemn these unilateral destabilisation attempts by Serbia and to urge the Serbian authorities to return to the dialogue for the normalisation of relations with mutual recognition at its centre and resolve all issues peacefully. The West continues to allow Serbia's transgression. The international community do not rebuke Serbia or compel the Serbian justice system to seek conviction for the deaths of thousands of victims in Kosovo. That's just an example of something the international community could do. Kosovo needs guarantees similar to those given to Finland and Sweden, which serve as a game changer, deterring possible threats to our collective security, putting the region on a fast track to stability. The UK position regarding the association of Serb majority communities should be welcomed, and the UK should invest political weight over this position, sharing its views with the Quint countries and the EU mediator. It would, without any doubt, aid the normalisation process between Kosovo and Serbia and help prevent scenarios of ethno-territorial solutions. The stabilisation of community relations inside Kosovo is key to peace. The 5 non-recognised EU nations are also concerned and play a major role in the normalisation process and foremost in international consolidation of Kosovo. The UK has played a major role in consolidating Kosovo's presence in international organisations and gaining new recognitions. The government should use its influence, especially with the 5 non-recognising EU states, to unlock the normalisation process and the Euro-Atlantic path of Kosovo. I will give way.
I thank the honourable member for Leeds North West for successfully securing this debate. And as co-chair for the APPG on Ukraine, I think he and others did a great job last week in getting the ambassador, the UK ambassador to Kosovo into Parliament. Nicholas Abbott visited us and gave us a very much an up-to-date briefing on how things are between the UK and Kosovo and what it's like to be there at this time. Yesterday, Kosovo's Prime Minister, Albin Kurti, wrote that we accept the EU's proposal for the normalisation of relations between Kosovo and Serbia and consider it a good basis for further discussions. And I wonder whether he also will be interested to hear what the UK government's position is on that most recent proposal for the normalisation of relations.
I'd like to thank the honourable member for that intervention. I mean, that's a very live issue, but we've seen for years now a dialogue based in Brussels, and particularly with the current Prime Minister, Albin Kurti, who's been here to Parliament twice since I've been an MP, his willingness to compromise, his willingness to go the extra mile, but that is just not returned by President Vučić. And, you know, as much international pressures can be applied by the UK government, working with other governments, particularly the French and German government, to try and pressure Serbia to be an honest partner for peace and not to act in the ways they have been acting, trying to undermine the process and trying to pull the wool, frankly, over the eyes of other governments in Europe, including our own. That would be the most useful thing that the UK government, the UK Foreign Office could do. If we can get through an agreement and we can have an agreement where both sides are able to, frankly and honestly, undertake that agreement, then that's part of the path. But again, you know, I just mentioned the 5 non-recognising states. These are big issues that need to be overcome, and the EU need to move forward as well and give more to Kosovo. So I'm just going to conclude now, really, on that point. Kosovo's constructive commitment to normalisation process should be translating steps ahead, particularly in relation to those 5 non-recognising nations. So I've just got 4 asks of the UK government, which I hope the Minister can respond to. The UK government should support Kosovo in the NATO Partnership for Peace membership by enhancing Kosovo and NATO relations, and I just want to ask what the UK government's role has been so far in that. The UK government should support Kosovo in capability building with a focus on military and information capabilities to oppose Russian influence in the region. We know about the listening station NISH, which is jointly operated by Russia and Serbia, and is a big issue which we were briefed on by KFOR and others when we were in Kosovo. I'd like to hear the Minister's view on how we can curb Russian influence in Serbia. We need to support Kosovo in military capabilities for the country, to have territorial defence capabilities, and at the same time ensure Kosovo is involved in NATO international peace operations. How can we enhance that role in Kosovo so it can defend itself? And how, for a more safe and secure environment in the Balkans, especially in Kosovo, can we ensure that NATO, KFOR, the Kosovo force, has specialised units on the ground to pose hybrid threats, because we're now seeing, as we see in Ukraine, wars are now hybrid, and we need to have a force, a NATO force in Kosovo that also is able to resist hybrid threats in case the worst does happen. So I'd like to thank the House, and I think we'll come back to this matter again and again, because the peace in the Western Balkans after Ukraine is the most important issue in Europe for peace and stability. Thank you.